Welcome, everyone, to another exciting edition of the BatShtCrazy Podcast. We are doing another Star Wars The Old Republic edition. As you can see, we are in Kyle's fancy little lounge here. Very nice.
Yes, twirl, baby, twirl, twirl, baby, twirl.
It's great.
Sorry, I'm twirling on my screen. Everybody else will see it. At least I hope everyone else will see it. All right. I don't want to talk
Okay.
about me slowly losing my mind. I want to talk about Star Wars Celebration.
All right, you got a lot here. Kyle planned this whole episode. I'm pretty pumped.
Well,
This is the most excited I've seen for an episode yet.
We've been building towards this for so many days, not weeks, not months. It's kind of a last minute thing. But we've been really excited the last couple of days. And so what happened? Star Wars Celebration happened in Japan. And some cool things were announced. And some really, really cool things were absolutely not announced. No, we still want the best of what they could have given us. So I'm a little disappointed.
Hold on.
Okay.
I got to answer a chat question here. Via Vila Kula. That's a cool name, by the way. That's a Kula name, by the way. What did you just stumble upon? A dual KOTOR stream? Yes, you did. It is probably the only one you're going to stumble upon. We do this podcast weekly, and we decided we're going to do it in game. We're just going to sit in a virtual lounge.
Why not?
We're not going to have some exciting gameplay going on, but you're going to see us truly relax in game. Also, I love that name, dude. I kind of want it. Anyway, sorry, guy. I just had to address the comment. Star Wars Celebration.
Yeah.
Where do you want to
start? I don't know what that was. I caught the gist of it. I think maybe you're looking at something I'm not. But yeah, we're going to talk about Star Wars by playing Star Wars, which is awesome.
It is.
Where should we start? Well, I think we should start with night one. Some of the things that were announced night one, top of the order. What do you think of Ryan Gosling joining us in Star Wars? What do you think of Ryan Gosling leading a new franchise set after the events of Rey Skywalker? What do you think of that? Like, that blows my mind that not only, I mean, this is an A-list actor now. I mean, with everything he's done in the last couple years alone, if he wasn't already, but like, this is a big name for Star Wars. What do you think?
Okay. So I did not watch the celebration live. I was busy. But when I first saw that, I think you sent it to me. I thought it was a joke. I did not think that was for real. And then once it was confirmed that it was real, and I kind of understood a little more about what the show's going to be, that's pretty cool. Ryan Gosling, I mean, he was everybody's favorite heartthrob for years there. And sure. I didn't know much about him. I've seen some interviews with him the last few years. He seems like a really cool dude. I don't know how much he knows about Star Wars or cares, but I don't know if that necessarily matters either. It helps, but I don't think it matters. It should be cool. I like the prospects of him. I like to see what he can do. I think he's typecast a lot, and this might be his chance to break out of a lot of his kind of droopy, sad love interest roles he's kind of played for a long time, and a little more energy. I think it could be cool.
Yeah, man. I didn't used to like Ryan Gosling that much. I really didn't. He just never checked any boxes for me until, I mean, like, kind of recently. You know, him. I'm not gonna lie. Him as Ken in Barbie was great. I liked him in La La Land. I know that was a little bit ago, but like, I'm talking Notebook a long time ago. What was the other one he did with Steve Carell, and he ended up dating Emma Watson, or not Emma Watson, Emma Stone. that movie. Like he was helping the dad like be better about kind of playing the field, getting out there, being open, turning him from
Mm-hmm.
a slouch into like a ladies' man, and like he was the coach, kind of like
Yeah.
a Hitch type of movie. I
Mm-hmm.
really liked him in that. But like, what was his the Stuntman movie that he just
Yeah.
did? That was
With Emily
fantastic.
Blunt.
Just yeah, some of the more recent stuff he's doing, he's kind of really grown on me, and I to listen to someone talk about wanting to be involved with Star Wars because Star Wars has meant as much to them growing up as it did to you or I. To hear that Star Wars was like the foundation of their career choice, like that kind of makes me excited that even more than like the terror of a big name, that kind of makes me really excited that someone with this much passion is coming to it finally and gets to run with it kind of outside the normal restraints that Star Wars sets for itself. You know, it's something completely new. It's a new playground completely. So I am kind of excited for it.
One thing I didn't think about either from a just dawned on me now. It also might be showing a commitment on Disney's end to be trying a little harder because hiring Gosling is not cheap. That's probably one of
No.
the biggest financial commitments they probably had to make since maybe a Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
And I think this is showing, and he's not an established character either. That's the thing. It's a Harrison Ford. Obviously, you know it's Han Solo, but this is a new character, and there's a risk to it, and I'm sure he's not cheap. So
I
yeah,
mean,
this might be a
yeah,
sign
and
they're going to put some effort into it, and I think Star
I
Wars
think it's true.
specifically has suffered from a lack of acting talent. There has been some bright spots with some unknown actors, but for the most part, they need to get some better people in there. And I think hiring talented people is a good start, even if we're not sure what that character is quite going to be yet. But yeah, I think it's a good commitment on Disney's end, showing they're maybe taking this a little more seriously because they know his
Yeah,
name
and like, you know,
will move
speaking of
seats.
like committing to people and spending money on people, you know who else isn't cheap? Sigourney Weaver, and she's coming in
Mm-hmm.
as a side
Yeah,
character.
forgot about her.
And I watched that panel and I watched the excitement just like flow through her like a jolt of electricity. Here's a woman whose I would contribution to sci-fi as a visual genre is almost as large as Star Wars itself. I mean, everything between Alien and Predator and the spoofs like Galaxy Quest or that weird Paul movie where she was the end game for the Martian guy. It's just like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
she is Sigourney Weaver's as synonymous with sci-fi as Mark Hamill is in that way. And so yeah, I mean, throwing at her a bone like that is crazy. Um, and that's for the movie Mandalorian and Grogu, which they didn't really. I know there was that trailer, like a combat sequence sneak peek that was released, but I never got what that movie was going to be about. Did you ever? Was there any plot points that maybe they gave us? Do we know if there's a time jump? How it works in conjunction with the Ahsoka series? Because you know, I saw the leaked image of him walking with Zeb from Rebels. Um,
Yeah,
but
I
did you hear
don't.
anything about that?
Mm-mm. I'm not sure how that's
Oh,
gonna quite tie in, but it's cool. We're getting more Zeb though.
yeah,
Being more
yeah. It's
Zeb.
excited that they found a good. He doesn't look bad either. You know, he didn't look bad for his cameo in was it Mando season 3 or Ahsoka? I'm not sure. He didn't look too bad for that cameo, and he didn't look too bad in that shot with Mando, Pedro Pascal.
No, yeah, surprisingly, because sometimes that's hard to bring over. Um, speaking of, let's talk about the interviews with Rosario Dawson
Rosario.
Rosario.
Yeah.
Um, I will admit, when I first started watching Ahsoka, I did not care for her much. I even in the context of her character is broken in a sense, and even understanding all that, I did not like the way she was just acting the character at the start. Towards the end of the season, it came around though to where you were starting to see more of Ahsoka personality, and watching these interviews has made me appreciate her a lot more than I did. She seems like a genuinely very nice person, and you can obviously she oozes enthusiasm, much like Katie Sakov. What's her name?
Sakoff.
Sakoff. Yeah,
Yeah.
Katie, who plays for those of you who don't know, Bo-Katan in the
Bo-Katan.
live action and in the animated series. But yeah, she cares for the material. You could tell she really loves Ahsoka. She's all about watching the previous live or animated series to gain, and I think part of her getting better with the character, I maybe when she started filming, she might not have had the understanding she did towards the end of the season because you can almost see a shift, not
Yeah.
even just with the writing, but like almost where she is starting to find the character, and I think that's evident in the last few episodes where it's not even what the character's doing or what the story is, just personality quirks she's picking up on. And I think you can tell that she started to really do her homework. And I think as a byproduct has fell in love with the world, which is cool when an actor likes the stuff they're working on and is very enthused at it. And she loves the people, fans, cosplaying. She's into all of it. And it's pretty cool to see. And I have high hopes for this season 2, and it sounds like she's been training more. Part of my problem with where was the lightsaber stuff was kind of weak. The final battle with Anakin there in the World Between Worlds was her best work, and I think it was just a product of getting more seat time and training. And according to her, she's been training nonstop since the last season, which I hope will translate into even better choreography. But yeah, those were really cool interviews. So I'm glad I watched both of those. If you join the Discord and wish to watch those, we can link all that. But yeah, it was really cool. What'd you think?
Yeah, very similar to you. I was excited at her enthusiasm, and I did notice I mean, it was a noticeable shift from the way she talked about Ahsoka this year versus the way she's talked about Ahsoka in the past. In the past, it felt like, yeah, I kind of watched this episode or that episode, and I've been told, I've been updated, and they gave me a book to read, and I kind of understand Ahsoka, but I'm going to do my own thing. This round of interviews, you could tell that like this was a fan talking about getting the opportunity to cosplay her favorite character, and listening to her uh, get excited about
Uh-oh.
goes, I haven't stopped training. I'm using both hands. I'm ambidextrous now. I taught myself. I never stopped. And to listen to her remember scenes from the show and talk about it, how it relates to her. Like when she went off on that tangent about the world in between worlds, and then she like her mind just like exploded into the next segment of her thought path. So she's like, and that's where Ezra pulls Ahsoka out, and that's and then she's like, oh, and this guy that we got playing Ezra, he captures it, he hands it over another character for a second, and you're like, oh, excuse me, is the actress an actual fan? Like her and I could have a real conversation about enthusiasm with this character, and it wouldn't be forced or weird or anything like that. So I was
Not
off
common.
of her.
That's something that
No, it's not.
I mean, you talk to the Game of Thrones cast, I'm sure that they'll give a crap about it's not their job. But I think the fan base is so rabid and detail oriented. It's hard to get away with not understanding the source material and still doing a great job. It's possible, but you start having the cracks show very quickly, which this is a side comment here. Make sure you move your camera every once in a while so I don't get DC'd. I think some of that was evident in with Ewan McGregor. Love the guy. he's the greatest Obi-Wan, but
Hmm.
he doesn't quite understand. He's a surface level Star Wars guy, and I don't. It's not no fault of his own. He doesn't care, which is
No.
fine.
Yeah.
But it's evident when he's says some things, he just doesn't quite get it in a deep sense and doesn't care to, which in his mind is not a big deal. But then, like when the reactions to the show came out, and he was kind of like, I don't quite get it. It's
Yeah.
for us. For us, it's obvious, but
It's like when you hear your grandma brag about you to somebody else, but she gets like key details completely wrong. And you don't want
yeah.
to like correct grandma on the site, but you're just kind of like, okay, I like, she's telling her truth, and so humans out there he's telling his truth, and who cares as long as he keeps swinging that lightsaber for us.
To be
Um,
fair, in his era, it wasn't a problem because George was sloppy and there wasn't a ton of outside material. You had the movies, which was about it. Now you have, almost thanks to Filoni in a sense, and the team that's so into the material, they more than even Lucas was ever into it. They're into like, let's create this sub race that never has been seen, but there's one of them, and we're going to create a whole
yeah,
backstory, and we must create every single thing in this universe to have a backstory, and we're going to detail everything down to the. I mean, Dave's just one of those guys that, and that was evident in that interview too. He just oozes this stuff, and love him or hate him, he's going to have misses, and not everything
yeah.
he does is gold, but you can tell the
Well, and
dude
that's
just loves Star Wars.
that's one of the things that I did want to eventually circle around to. So I guess we'll just have to come back to more goodies from the Ahsoka panel. But like watching Dave and John interact with each other was insane. It was like watching you and I, off screen by the fire, just going back and forth, just spinning ideas and stuff like that. It was. You're absolutely right, Zach. Is they both, but Filoni loves Star Wars and he wants to tell all those stories, and it was encouraging to see them get really, really excited for it too, because you can tell whatever the controversy was around Kennedy's non-departure, I guess. I don't know. Whatever that was, it seems like these two have schemed their way into making good Star Wars in the future. Because the way they're kind of giggling about it and kind of talking about it, I feel like we're going to have more successes than flops going forward, maybe, hopefully. I mean,
Well, I
we got some
liked what he
big
said
stuff
about
coming.
the specifically the new galaxy, which I was wondering how much this was going to be part of his future. And he almost confirmed it. Well, he did confirm it that he wants to do his own thing in a new galaxy and not be tied to the other
Yeah.
one as much, which I was always hoping he would do. But my fear was it was going to be a quick hop on this thing. We're all going to be end up back in the other galaxy right away. And it was going to be a
Yeah.
throwaway. But he seems to have doubled down on, I want freedom to do what I want to do here without George's constraints, which he gave
Yeah,
George
he
all the
did talk about
love.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
he
he
did.
loved he's praised him. He said it's I love everything he's done, but I want to have
Yep.
freedom to do what I want with my character and other make new characters and all this stuff. So I think I'm pretty excited to see what that does because like it is a big burden to be tied to even the stuff you've already made. I mean, you start trying to having to tie lore in is because Dave has created almost his own problem where he's so detail oriented in the Clone Wars and stuff, but then you end up with issues like just oversights, and then they'll start adding up, and then you have to rewrite and try to correct those oversights. And I can see wanting to just have a clean slate to some degree with his own character, so you're not starting with nothing because that could be a very scary proposition to go. This is all new characters that you don't care about and never had any attachment to, but now you at least have Ahsoka, you have maybe potentially Sabine and Ezra, and maybe I don't know how many you're going to throw over there, but you could throw that whole newer cast that he created over in this galaxy to have their own adventures, and then at least you're tied to something there, and then they can introduce new people as they go. So I think it's a really cool idea.
Yeah, you know, And as much as it does seem like he's ready to move on with Ahsoka, his character, his baby, into another galaxy, he's also extremely committed to finishing out what they started in Rebels. Because the other half of Ahsoka, season 2, he straight up told us is going to be an all-out war with Thrawn, and we were going to see more of Hera and a lot more of Ezra
Hmm.
and Chopper, the psychopathic war criminal murder droid. And he said we are also going to see Zeb, which is why I wondered about Mando. And then you got to wonder too if they're finally going to reintroduce Luke, because
Hmm.
the whole Thrawn's first go, it was against Han, Luke, and Leia in the novels, and the heir to the Empire, the original Thrawn trilogy. So you just got to wonder if they're going to bring in some legacy characters, or if they're just going to try to put a bow on Rebels, because that's kind of what that feels like as well. I mean, no Kanan, obviously, he's dead. Um, but yeah, that's the other half of it, and then even more, during another Rosario Dawson Geek Fest, she just, I mean, I don't know if they announced it beforehand, but she straight up said, she goes, and Hayden's coming back for season 2, so we're going to see Anakin again, which is
That was
which
crazy. I
is
was surprised they just flat
crazy.
out said that.
She just straight up, and Hayden's coming back. Emily and I looked at each other so quick. We're like, what?
Yeah, they
So
said a
yeah,
lot.
that
Honestly,
was
they gave way more than I even would have.
it. Yeah, the amount of information they gave about the individual products seemed like a lot, but the amount of products they gave us wasn't that much. Not really. We got the Mando and Grogu. We got Starfighter with Ryan Gosling, Ahsoka season 2, and then that leads into the next big one that I wanted to talk about is the Star Wars animation is gonna pathfind some ways for Darth Maul to be relevant again, because he's coming back in Maul Shadow Lord or something like that.
Maul's becoming the new Palpatine, and he's back.
Well, he's
He's
a
always
crime
back.
lord somehow. Yeah, he's always back. I can't Maul forever. Um,
I'm kind of
yeah.
worried about that
Holy
show.
crap.
I
No,
I
why?
know you're more excited about it than I am, but I don't. It, if you're doing like a whole Clone Wars level show, I mean, there's a lot of stuff you could do. How do you make it interesting long term? Because I think Maul is great in snippets, but does he have? I mean, I guess it's not just him. He Maul is interesting as a character, yes, but will you find all the? Because there's going to be obviously episodes with bounty hunter type characters or his team of people that's going to be sent off to do things. Are they going to be as compelling without Maul on screen? Because there's only so much Maul you can put in the show, I would guess. I don't know. I'm curious to see what this is going to be, and if it's going to be as. I mean, Whitmer seems to have like they have a bunch of ideas going here, so maybe there's a lot of things I'm not thinking about potential wise, but I feel like it could be just a lot of filler that's not, I don't know, just generic bad guy stuff, and then you're gonna get some cool mall bits, but I don't know.
So, I
I'm
mean,
open to it.
we have
I'm
we've
just kind of
we've
worried.
never seen we've never seen Star Wars animation a lead show last less than 4 seasons. Not really. I mean, I don't remember. Was
And
Rebels
that's kind of
five
what I'm
seasons?
assuming this is gonna fall into, that umbrella.
So like this isn't a Tales of miniseries with 3 20-minute episodes. This is their this is what they're running with. And I was watching a an interview with Sam this afternoon, post celebration, where he was saying that, like, there is 15 years unaccounted for with Maul between when we last see him losing his fight with Sidious on Mandalore and when we next see him uh, in Ezra's storyline. And we know somewhere in between that, he's in charge of the syndicate again, because he's there at the
When does
end
he
of
lose to
Solo.
Ahsoka? That's the end. That's the end of Clone Wars, right?
Yeah, literally the day before Order 66. Like,
That's right. Yep.
yeah, yep,
Sorry, I just
literally the day before. And then Ezra's timeline, I think he encounters him. It was within 10 years. No, it was in within 5 years, I would say, of the Battle of Yavin. So
hmm
yeah, there's a lot there.
Yeah, there is. There's a yeah. I'm maybe I shouldn't be as worried as I am. I'm just worried the
But
bits without Maul are going to be. What are they going to do? That's more my. What characters are you going to bring in that'll be interesting? Because in Clone Wars thrived because you had so many different. You had Yoda on his own missions. You had Obi-Wan, Anakin. You had Ahsoka, Plo Koon. You had a lot of different stuff going on. And if they're doing
sure,
that
yeah,
long of a series, I don't see what are you bringing into Maul's show where when he's not doing something cool, what's the rest going to be? Because I'm sure there's characters you could bring in that maybe aren't doing anything that we know of in this time that could be pretty cool. But a lot of the bad guys seemed like
yeah.
they become generic bad guy
Well,
force.
right away, we know that Maul is going to interact with the clones, probably because that 15-year gap is during the Imperial reign. So you're going to get the clone voices in there. It's We already know that Darth Talon is going to be introduced as his apprentice.
That could be
You
cool.
know,
Yeah.
yeah, and Star Wars animation is a knit team, of actors and crew that work together. And so we're probably going to get a lot of friendly voices. He's doing the syndicate thing, so we'll probably see Hondo again. Hondo just did a bunch of work for
Hondo. Yeah. That'd be
yeah,
cool.
the
He's a
the
personality.
pirate, the smuggler. They did that game Outlaws, so I'm sure some of those people might be available for reoccurrence on a character or two. So there's all kinds of potential for bringing older characters into what they're already working. But you also got to ask yourself, like, what would Darth Maul do in the storyline? He'd build a criminal empire. So you have the opportunity to insert all kinds of gangster type characters into Star Wars. You can have a main character that's part of the Pike Syndicate, or you can have a main character that works for the Hutts, but secretly works for Maul or something. You can have Boba Fett in this. It would make sense for Boba Fett and Maul to interact a couple times. So there's all kinds of potential there.
Yeah.
But
You could do a
it's a
hot
Maul
war.
show. It's a Maul show, and the thing that Maul's known most for, other than his Kenobi scream, is his double-bladed lightsaber. So you got to imagine too, there's potential for him to come across Order 66 survivors, like Quinlan, like Asajj Ventress. Opportunity to see fights like that. There's so much potential there, and it's a 15-year gap that they can do. What I see 3 seasons for the show. I don't see it going much past that unless it's really, really spot on good, which it could be because I think out of all of Star Wars's available people to work whenever, all the time, Sam Whitmer or Darth Maul, that actor is a huge. He's you can tell he lives and breathes Star Wars. He thinks about it all day long. He's played this many characters. He's rumored to be the son in live action for Ahsoka season 2, and that guy he was Star Killer for the Force Unleashed
hmm
games. And like, if anyone's going to give passion, and the thing that I've always loved and respected most about him is the story where he corrected Dave Filoni, and he stopped the recording. He's like, "Hey, we got to do that again because you got this continuity issue wrong." Most people, Dave Filoni missed it, and he got it. He wasn't afraid to speak up and say, "Hey, this is wrong. We need to fix it." And so, like, anything where he can be a little bit kind of path leading the way, a super nerd that's not afraid to stand up for the fandom. I love that. I'm really excited for that, and I
And
so hope they don't let me down.
he's the reason I'm least I have the most confidence in the show is because of his passion for it. That's another reason I think I mean, one of the main reasons I am still like I don't know what they're gonna do, but I trust it because Sam really
Right.
does care more than anybody else probably in that room. So he seems like he has his own ideas, which are usually good. So yeah, I hope they Darth Talon. I'm wondering. I want them to make her really cool, but I don't want them to just make Ventress 2.0. I want her to be different in a way, but I don't know how. As far as like personality, because it's hard to make a Sith um, character in general. Especially female Sith characters seem to have this problem where they just make them, I don't know, very angry. Which I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know. I kind of want less of the hissy rabid dog, which Ventress is cool. I like Ventress's character, but I don't want just another Ventress. I want something a little more, um, maybe kind of like my character in this game. Quite honestly, like more of that, like I don't know, calculated, snarky, but has some personality kind of thing. I don't know. Be
I
interesting
like
to
to
see
think
what they do.
I'd like to see her just like a straight up dark side Ahsoka.
Yeah, that'd be kind of fun. Yeah.
Or even a dark side Leia, like snippy and talks back and does her own thing. Yeah. That'd be great too.
So what do we have next? We were talking. Oh, so speaking of
Yeah.
tying up Rebels and Ahsoka, I mean, I think that Thrawn All Out War event, which I'm really surprised they said that in that
Yeah.
teaser because I wouldn't have, quite honestly, I would have left that a surprise because that's pretty big. But I think that's going to be a kind of the bow you were talking about on the Rebel arc there, that whole
Yeah.
Avengers thing they're going with here, which could be really cool. It's about time somebody's had a war and a Star War. It's been a while.
What? It's been a minute.
Yeah.
Attack of the Clones.
Yeah, really. That's the
That
last time
was
we
yeah, that
saw
was yeah,
anything over.
warlike. I mean, we had the pilot
I mean, there's a little
thing.
bit in Clone Wars, the animated
There's
show,
just,
but that doesn't really count, I guess. That's kind of always a war going on. But
I mean, Attack of the Clones had Jedi leading battalions of clone troopers running into a sandstorm, shooting at battle droids. It doesn't get much more war than that. That was probably the best one as far as like a war. Well, yeah, because we saw two armies running towards each other. That was pretty cool.
so that's going to be, I assume, pretty cinematic and be a lot of money thrown at it. It sounded expensive.
And we'll finally get to see Luke and Ezra. I hope.
Yeah,
I hope.
I would. I I would think he has to be there. That they're probably holding
Like,
that
right?
close to their vest. If you have Ahsoka and especially, well, I guess there's Ahsoka over there. There has to be someone else besides Ezra on the Jedi
Yeah,
side of
because there's
things.
because there's a whole thing with the Night Sisters, and they brought with them a graveyard worth of army people. It's just
And Ezra's great, but he's not a
no,
experienced
no.
Jedi, especially in a more formal setting like that. So you would need somebody to kind of be the
He's not Luke.
mentor.
Yeah, he's
Yeah.
not Luke.
Yeah, he needs Luke to be there, and I can't think of unless they're gonna bring somebody else out from the shadows that we're not thinking of, which I guess you could.
Cal Kestis, please,
Yeah. Well, they may be honestly with how much they pull stuff.
please.
That would be kind of cool.
Oh,
Get
I
old
was so
Cal
disappointed
Kestis
that
and
I was really disappointed that we didn't get the Jedi 3 game. I was hoping for some kind of announcement for it. Ugh, that's
yeah,
okay.
I
Well,
think that's probably gonna be in next year. Let's see. When did the last one come out? That
hmm,
was 2 years ago.
Jedi Survivor, right?
Yeah, it's probably.
Yeah, 2023. April
So
28th,
yeah, so you're
2023.
probably looking at. Oh, yeah, I would think next year maybe a trailer, maybe 27 release date. I would guess. I guess they could do a quicker turnaround. I mean, if you're just reusing some assets and you could get it out maybe late next year, but I would think trailer, maybe trailer this late this year, depending how it's going. I don't know. There really hasn't been a whole lot of rumblings out of Respawn. I know they've been talking about Titanfall 3, but yeah, I would assume the Jedi product's probably first order of business. But yeah, I don't know. All Out War, it's gonna be cool. Guess we'll have to see more. We don't know much on that yet. What else did you have here?
Oh,
Man, what do you got?
hold you just. Oh,
I'm reading
Zero
your list.
Company. Let's talk about Zero Company.
Oh yeah, it's good. Good segue. So I know you guys, you guys, as in our Star Wars text group, weren't as high on
Mhm.
this game. Um, the trailer was amazing. Give whoever does these
Trailer looked good.
trailer was really cool. Very detailed. Um, it looks like uh very Gears Tactics, XCOM, basically XCOM in Star Wars, which I really like XCOM. It's and I think this could be really cool. I know the gameplay trailer they picked was kind of not well done. I'm not sure why they did the awesome cinematics, but then for the gameplay they picked almost the worst angles and shots. But from what I did see, it looks very XCOM-y. And if you like that kind of game, like a strategic uh, battle simulator, that's what this looks like. And I am pretty excited for it. I like those kind of games. And it's from what I read that you'll be able to customize your main character heavily, and also maybe your team. I think it sounds like there's a lot of customization in it. That even seals the deal more for me. So if you're into that kind of game, I know a lot of people want more actiony hack and slash stuff, but I'm here for any kind of turn-based stuff.
Yeah, I'm not as into it as you are.
Yeah, I figured.
Uh,
As soon as I saw it, I was like, "Well, this isn't a cow game."
no, it might not be a cow game. I don't know. I might find enjoyment of it in it if we get that kind of free reign that you get from Baldur's Gate. Like, yeah, that was turn based, but like the kind of being able to do what you want in between was
That's what I'm
almost
curious what
worth
this
it.
is. I'm not sure if this is going to be a because they didn't really show you is if this is going to be a mission to mission type of thing where you're going to be loading into like say here's your mission, go do this, here's your next mission, load into this. That I can see you not liking. But yeah, if it is a more roam around, I don't know as far as, but we're going to wait and see on that aspect. But I assume it's going to be more of a here's your mission kind of thing. But
Yeah. I
when was that
really
coming
like
out?
the
Do you know?
I don't remember, but I really like the look of the cast of it. You know, it's very interesting to me. You got a clone trooper wearing Phase One armor. You got your standard Val Helsing cowboy guy in the trench coat and hat. You got um, it looked like an Umbaran soldier, uh, which the General Krell 4 episode arc of the fight on Umbara was one of my favorite arcs. And I know the Umbarans come into play in Star Wars Online. Um, and they're just so unique and so cool to look at, and their armor is really distinctive. So yeah, I think that's an Umbaran soldier in the cast too. So like, it is really this just handful of, and I think is there a battle droid as well? That's
Hmm.
part of it.
Yeah, that was part of the cool thing was they look like they're really somebody knows what they're doing, which was kind of cool. It
Oh,
didn't
and the
look like
Jedi.
generic. Yeah, it didn't look like generic crap they were just pulling. It looked like somebody's really did their research and as a big fan of Star Wars, whoever made this, which is always a good sign.
Okay, yeah. So and we can share this picture in the Discord for anybody that wants to see it. So it's a clone trooper in Phase One armor. It's a Mandalorian. It's a Jedi, but it's one of those guys that you've only ever seen like walking around with Saul Guerrera. So that's a cool choice. You didn't think about that.
Hmm.
And then there's an Umbaran soldier, and of course an R4 droid. Yeah, it's such a handful, and like you said, it really looks like whoever put this together. It's gonna be like Injustice, where it's a Mortal Kombat game, and it's really not that fun to play by the time you get to the end of it. But the story's so good that you never want to leave. It feels a lot like that, um, at least to me. But no, I'm not
Yeah,
super
I don't
stoked
know.
about that combat.
We'll see. I guess I don't know how much. I think it actually could be the opposite, maybe as far as the gameplay might be more fun than the story. I don't know how well it's gonna all weave together, but we'll find out. We only had the one trailer, I think, so far, so we need to definitely need more before we make a
Yeah.
decision there. Let's see. We had you had something to say about Star Wars
Oh
Visions
no, it's just that there's going to be another one, and this one looks just
season
as
3.
crazy as the other ones. Um, yeah, post those too. Um, no, I was thinking Star Wars Online. This game, they
Yeah,
got another. Okay, that's there's
that just
more.
came out
There's
of
more
nowhere.
coming, right? Uh, what's her name? Swarista? Is that how you say
Mm-hmm.
it?
Turista.
Yeah, I was watching her stream earlier, and I was listening to her talk about how that kind of came out of nowhere because of the voice actor strike that's been going on, and
Mm-hmm.
so how it's kind of going to be a really present surprise. And for me, that's great news because I think I'm starting to get to the end on this Bat character here, Lord Azriel.
You still have a lot of
So
expansions left, don't you? Or did you blitz through all
I
of them?
I I've been plowing through them, man. I'm just heading towards the end of the game.
You did all the planetary quests?
I have not done all my planetary quests yet. No, no, especially the crappy planets,
McKeb.
like all of, like all of them with sand.
Hate McKeb. McKeb is my tattooing for Anakin. I hate McKeb.
Yeah, yeah,
But
man.
yeah,
That
that's
was
cool. I'm glad
that's
that's
that was it.
happening.
That was
I mean, we all knew it was
that was
happening. It
celebration
just was. I wasn't.
as a surprise. Yeah,
Yeah, nobody was sure how delayed it was going to be with the voice acting deal, but it seems like it's. I don't. Did that get resolved? The voice acting strike?
I suppose it did. I mean, we're getting
I didn't hear
new
anything about it,
work.
but yeah, so that's good. Good news. So yeah, hopefully the future of this game is still going.
Doesn't seem to be slowing down at all. So, okay. Speaking of games, something new, something old,
Oh
something
yeah,
borrowed.
their big
Uh,
finish.
what I really wanted to do, I'm not a computer person, so I don't know how to make it happen. But I wanted to like fade in with the triumphant music, like Elder Scrolls 6 with the Roman numerals, but then like a
Ba-da-dum,
pencil.
ba-da-dum,
But yeah, the music
da-da-dum,
it swells.
da-da-dum.
Yeah, and that's pirates. But yeah, it's just like that.
Whatever,
And
same
so,
thing.
but
It's
then,
similar.
you're gonna love this. But then a pencil, like those old like school videos that we watched on VHS on the roll cart TV, like a pencil comes across the screen and it erases the I on the right of the five, making it a six, and then it
Pretty
draws
cool.
it back in on the other side and making it a four.
This is why you're a
It
great big
was-
board guy. Can't do the execution, but that sounded really
Oh,
cool.
that's the plan. Yeah, it's Elder Scrolls 6, phase in, pencil flies in, erases the eye, puts it on the other side. Psych. Oh, but man, it kind of feels like Elder Scrolls 6 in a way. I played Oblivion one time and I played it after I played Skyrim. I know
That's the
I
problem.
know.
Yeah, that's hard to
And
do.
I played through the main storyline and I loved the main story, but I hated playing the game so much because it was such a step down from
Yeah,
Skyrim graphically. It
yeah.
was it was such a step down. But the game that I was playing earlier, the game that I started last night, oh my gosh, it looks insane. I sat down and stared at the fire for a little bit in first person. I just watched it. It looked just like a real one. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Um, my history of Oblivion's a little different. I played it when it first came out in 2006? Question
Six,
mark. Yes.
six.
I that game was my life. I played it hundreds of hours. I stopped studying for tests. I stopped caring about school. Did the bare minimum of sleeping. I just kept playing it over and over and just that was everything to me. And then Skyrim came out and it let me down because in my head from
Oh,
2006 to when Skyrim came out, I was thinking about what
2009.
Skyrim was. Yeah, I was it 2009?
It was 2009.
Oh, okay. Whenever it was. In my head, in that time span between Oblivion and Skyrim, I was thinking how much better Skyrim was going to be than Oblivion because I was like, oh, they've had all this time, and there's going to be this. And they were Todd Howard doing his car salesmanship was talking about how great this was going to be, and it's the greatest thing he's ever made. And I was like, oh my god, it's going to be so next level. And then I played it, and it just felt it was better, and it was bigger, but it didn't feel vastly different. It still felt like the same game to me, still clunky. And at that time, other games had gotten better. And it was still a great game, and that people loved it. I know if it's your first Elder Scrolls game, you love it. But I think if you're coming off of Oblivion, the story just seemed watered down. The side stuff, especially in Oblivion, as far as the Dark Brotherhood, that questing was so much better in Oblivion and detailed. In Skyrim, it just a lot of it felt like they focused on the open world, and then kind of the rest of it was just kind of thrown together a little bit, not as detail oriented, and so I was very excited when this remaster came around, and it I'm running it on a 4090 right now, and this thing was cooking. I had everything set on ultra. It looks more realistic than real life. I was standing in those caves and I was looking at those dead goblins, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is amazing! It's beautiful." And it plays better. They did some good changes. I understand some people. We have a buddy that wanted more of a complete overhaul of the game from the ground up, and I'm not saying I was opposed to even that idea. Because yeah, some of it does feel kind of old school Oblivion, which isn't
Yeah.
good or bad, but it's just a preference. And I think I'm more of a person that's leans on the side of I'm more about modern. I'm not nostalgic for much. I'm like, let's just if it's better, do it better. But the game visually is incredible. Plays well enough. It plays better for sure. They had made the UI so much better and leveling up's better. They everything that was a real problem with Oblivion that did not age well, they fixed. And so far, I have had zero bugs. Like I said, I'm running it on a very high end PC. I don't know how it's running on lower end rigs, so maybe look into that first. But for me, it's running hot and it's running hard, but I haven't had any. It's just kind of normal Unreal 5 stuff. I mean, could it be better optimized? Probably, but yeah, it's fun. I'm not too far as I spent a lot of time just getting sidetracked and getting lost, but I am very excited to get back to it. That tells you anything.
He tells me the same thing I'm saying. Uh, no, yeah. So I played Skyrim first, and to me, Skyrim was my first. I'd never played anything like that before. It was mind blowing. You know, it stood up against Arkham City. They both came out the same year, and like that. I mean, Skyrim was just like I couldn't
And people
believe
that
it. The
play
music,
Morrowind, yeah, people that play Morrowind say Morrowind first, say Oblivion's not as good. People that play Oblivion first, play Skyrim's not as good. It's just a matter of whichever you played first, you have your preference because that magic you'll never
right?
recreate again. But yeah, I see what you're saying.
Well, and that's what I'm kind of getting to is because yeah, exactly, you'll never get that magic again until they up the ante with something like this. Because when I was playing and I first escaped the prisons and the music swelled as you look upon Cyrodiil, and I was just like, oh my god, they did it! I'm back. This feels great, and I was just I was really excited. I thought it was really well done, and I'm really enjoying coming back to Tamriel, to Cyrodiil to help with the Oblivion crisis, and it's the Emperor, as you know, voiced by Patrick Stewart, was such a grab,
I know it's so cool.
and and then I forgot I remembered him being a little further into it. You forget that his kid is played by actor Sean Bean from Game of Thrones and
I know.
from all that,
It's so
Lord of the
weird.
Rings, and you're like, oh my gosh, they're just like neither one of those. Patrick Stewart, I mean, probably most famously known for Captain Picard and Professor X, but also like knighted Sir Patrick Stewart, Shakespearean Broadway actor Patrick Stewart. Like that's a big name. And Sean Bean, I mean, he's done everything from Lord of the Rings to James Bond. That's another big name. It's just like,
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah,
those,
there's some actors in this one.
yeah. And,
Getting
and
new actors was good for this too. They added more voice
yeah,
lines, which that really helps because this game was that struggled with the five whole voice actors they had.
yeah, yeah.
All the budget was in Patrick
That was all
Stewart.
the budget was Patrick Stewart and Sean Bean. Yeah. Um, no, but dude, I'm really blown away by it. It's beautiful to look at. I'm playing on the Xbox and it still looks, just as pretty. Well, probably not just as pretty, but it still looks great
Good.
for the Xbox. And I understand that some people may have expected something different, but I mean, and maybe because it's been so long since we've had fresh content, they have a right to expect something different. But this is the same game. It just looks better. I was reminded of that. There was a line of dialogue attached to a quest I'm doing right now, where it's obviously a smaller quest. It's obviously one that's probably not popular, probably not measured well in metrics, and it's very obviously recorded 2004, 2005, or whenever they made the game before release. And I was reminded harshly that this is the same game. So it's okay. I mean, it's still cool because the graphics are enough to make up for any sins of the past, I say.
One change, speaking of graphics, it's not a gripe that I have. Um, it's just more of an artistic direction. I wish they would have went the color palette of Oblivion. They went more with what Skyrim did, which was kind of a muted tones, kind of more of a mountainy look as far as everything's kind of grayed slightly. The original Oblivion in its time had a lot of color, and that's one of the reasons I liked it over Skyrim 2 was there's a lot of green that really popped out at you, and when you were there was different when you had different colors, they really came out. And this game seems to have made it slightly more, I guess, just grayed out, which isn't bad. It's just a way they decided to do it. That would have been my only change. Is maybe I would have been a little more colorful because I see a lot of screenshots of places I haven't been yet. They don't look as bright as what I remember them to being. Everything looks kind of the same in a way, which is more realistic, I think. It's just a preference of. I do remember the game had a little more pizzazz to it when you went to different areas. Different biomes felt very distinct. Now, what Skyrim did was kind of everything felt sort of the same, even if it was different. They didn't have as much eye candy coming out, but that's my only maybe complaint that I would have did if I was the art director was maybe lean more towards a diversity, and you're in a very bright forest now and then you're in the city and then you're in something and they have a very distinct look. I mean, it's a beautiful game. That's just a small critique, really. Um, but yeah, people need to have expectations in check with this because it is Oblivion,
Yeah.
and I maybe would have preferred a remake, but you're looking at way more time, way more money, and if people don't like it, they're gonna crucify you. It's too risky. This way, people get a very nice looking Elder Scrolls game that plays well enough and it's fun. It's still great, even if it is dated. It's there's no risk to it because if you don't like it, you're just like, well, it's an old game. What do you expect? And if you do love it,
Right.
it's like, okay, this is everything I wanted. But if you remake the game from scratch, change a bunch of stuff, try to modernize things, and you go, this is a remake, then because technically, I think this should have been classified as a remake for how much work they did, but they call it remaster because I think just because of
Yeah, they
there's
just
not.
improved upon it.
Yeah, well, I think they just put the label on it because remake isn't putting an implication that you rebuilt the whole thing, and now this is just like, well, even if you don't like it, it's just a remaster. Don't be mad
Right.
at us. So
Be mad at
I
us.
understand what
Game's
they
20
did.
years old.
Yeah, and I think it's great. I think it's awesome they did this. Expedition 33 drops this week, which I have heard glowing praise for. People say that thing's a masterpiece out of the critique people I listen to that I trust. And if you don't know what that game is, it's another RPG coming out on Game Pass too. Made by a small team in France. I believe there's less than 40 people. But I have heard this thing is amazing story, amazing graphics, plays really well. It's kind of a hybrid of turn-based and not. It's hard to describe, but if you watch gameplay, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It's really cool. I'm excited to play this one after I beat Oblivion and Assassin's Creed Shadows, which will probably take me 500 years. But check that out. I think it comes out Thursday. I'm really surprised they launched these games so close, but I think my hunches Xbox did not understand how big this Oblivion thing was going to be. I think they underestimated the hype for this considerably, and this might be a problem for Expedition 33. But I implore you all to check it out because I've heard really good things, and those guys deserve some love. So if you don't know what it is, watch the trailer. I think you'll like it. And I think it's only $50 too if you don't have Game Pass, so it's a cheap game, but it's really cool looking. There was a demo on this not too long ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
speaking of trailers, did you see the new trailer for that the new Predator movie? I think it
No, I
dropped
saw you
today.
drop the
Oh,
text, and I was gonna look at it. I saw a
ooh,
screenshot, and it did. Some people were saying it looks pretty cool.
it looks great, man. Oh, can't wait to see that. Oh, hey, I wanted to ask you, speaking of high risk, high reward with Oblivion, do you think Bethesda shot themselves in the foot by allowing their
Yes,
remaster to be built outside of
I
an
did.
engine they have no intention of using? Oh my gosh.
See, this is the thing. This is gonna look better than whatever they produce for Elder Scrolls 6, and that's not necessarily the problem because graphics aren't everything, but this looks good, and I don't think you can mod for this game. There's already Nexus mods out for Oblivion on PC. But the problem is I don't think you can do their workshop on console type mod system the way they built this game if you're going to be putting Creation Engine inside of Unreal 5. I don't think you can do a mod workshop scam thing that they like to do, which is their bread and butter for every game they built. And I've already said they're making Elder Scrolls 6 in Creation Engine, so I don't know what they're going to do because I think this is a problem, a big problem. Because if they want that modding community, which I'm sure they do because that's where they make their money with your creations, quotation marks, I think they're going to have to stick with what they've been doing, and I don't see how it's going to. Because Starfield wasn't a terrible looking game, but it wasn't definitely not anywhere near.
Wasn't
And
this?
granted,
No.
granted, it's different. Space is more muted and boring, and lots of gray and black. This is going to be more color, but they're going to have to make the gameplay so intriguing and different from what they've done before to make up for lack of visuals that I don't think they're capable. Based on their performance and all these support studios that are now making Fallout 3 remasters and all these other remasters that they're assisting on, they say. But I mean, Virtua made this game, and they're just outshining them. And it's clear that this studio of 400 people is, I just don't know. They're just too big, or they're just have lost the capability and the magic they once had because I don't know. This is going to be a problem. and I think it's great for him now, short term. But man, I mean, Todd Howard's 60 some years old. I mean, he's not going to be there probably past the Elder Scrolls 6 anyway. So maybe that's just a way. It doesn't matter for him. He'll be out of there, and Xbox can just tear the place apart once he leaves. But I don't know. Yeah, I think they need to either just say we're not going to be doing the mod stuff anymore, or make our game look beautiful, or they're going to have to, I can't see them scrapping it and starting over in Unreal 5 or something else completely. That just seems they're already too far into it too, and they just like their creative engine because those guys know how to work it. So I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. It's very, very weird dilemma to have.
They found they found their Dark Knight. The movie
Yeah.
that was so good it made the rest look bad.
Yeah, because I don't think, I don't know. I don't know if they expected it to be this good either. It just, that Virtuo team did a really good job. Those guys are impressive. I mean, they've been a support studio forever, and they've worked on so many games. If you go through the games they've supported other studios on, it's like hundreds. They're a massive studio, and they did a great job with this. So I'll give them props. But yeah, I don't know. We'll see.
I think either either Elder Scrolls 6 is doomed to fail because of Elder Scrolls 4, or the expected release date just got pushed back a lot farther.
Yeah, that's the thing. I guess can they do? I mean, if they keep pumping out remakes and keep that's just what satisfies people. If they do a Fallout 3 remake and maybe even Fallout 4 and Skyrim in the same way, I guess you could push that release date out further. But they'd have to deviate so far from their mod focused, because that's just what they care about, is having that creation club stuff, and I just don't think that's as possible because they have to do it on console and all that stuff. PCs modding is one thing, but when you're trying to do it for console, that's a whole different animal. And I just don't. They'd have to change their focus on as a company, because that's just what the games rely on so much, is people fixing them and making stuff for them, because they're just not capable. I don't know. Maybe it's good. That's funny. Yeah, people are wondering what that's gonna do. Because yeah, you've seen the player counts for this. It's insane.
No.
They released the Steam numbers the other day, and it was over. I think it was over 180,000 concurrent. And that's insane numbers for an old game like this. Well, a new old game, but yeah, it's like people are hungry for this. But yeah, like you said, maybe they will just push the whole thing back because they don't.
I mean,
they don't have to do anything.
You gotta think they can only sell Skyrim so many times.
Well, they're going to sell it to you again. That's going to be the next. So they're going to do Fallout 3 next, a remaster. That's already in the works.
I'm going to buy it too. I swear. I will. It's not on Game Pass. If they release Skyrim and it looks like this or better, I will buy it again.
What if you don't have mods though? Is that going to be how big are you on the mod scene? So I guess the question is for you. I mean, obviously you can play a brand new Elder Scrolls game. Everybody can obviously play once without mods. But would you want to play Skyrim again if it looks as good as this, just vanilla? I don't know if I would.
Absolutely.
I don't know. Maybe I could. If they did something maybe similar to this Oblivion remake where they tweak it and maybe do some better combat, add some stuff. Don't leave it vanilla, but add maybe more spells or more ways to make your character do some different stuff that you couldn't do before. I could be on board with that for sure. And maybe I probably would play it anyway. I'm not gonna lie. But
so my thing with mods is I never need them. I absolutely don't need them. I like the cheat room because I don't want to craft 10,000 iron daggers to get my smithing perk up to 100. And then to go, evolve that into legendary and craft 10,000 more other daggers. I don't want to do that. I already did that grinding bit once. And so I prefer that mod. That means I don't have to craft any more iron daggers. And so That's a mod I use. Skyrim, if it's either tied or is second place for my favorite game of all time. And it's not because the mods mods for me weren't a reality until Xbox One. That just, I was on PlayStation or I was on something that just, if there was mod support, it was just crap. And so mods were never a thing for me. I played Skyrim 6 or 7 times before I ever did mods. But do I like mods? Well, let me ask you this, Zach. Would you rather would you rather fight the Battle of Whiterun vanilla, or would you rather fight the Battle of Whiterun with a mod that increased the army size to a point where it almost breaks the game, to a Whiterun the size of like New York City? And no, wait, on either side that you play, you can also fight the battle while riding Godzilla dressed as Batman with a lightsaber, with the moons replaced as the Death Star and a rebel fleet above your head. Now, would you rather just play vanilla or would you rather be amazing instead? So I
Hmm.
love Skyrim and I can play it without mods because I love Skyrim. I love Jeremy Sewell's music. I love all the motifs he created, which he created in Oblivion. But I also love that when my battle music's replaced with Wardruna. So, it's I prefer to play with mods because I already did the hard work in the game. Now I just get to enjoy the game. And if I want a mod that supersizes my dragons to the size of kaiju so I can punch them and one hit them with a lightning fist, then yeah, I like mods.
Well, I think Skyrim, if they remake it, um, I think part of my problem with that game was the middle of the map felt very dead. If they
Oh
added
my god.
something similar to The Witcher 3, where there's like just random little villages with a lot of stuff going on. And I know Bethesda's never really been known for this, but if they, I don't know, more random encounter stuff, just random people carting around that get something attacks them and you're helping them out, or just stuff like that to do. A lot of it was just felt like, I think that's why Oblivion was a little more, I don't know, immersive for me because it was compact and everything felt a little more alive. Skyrim was a lot of walking, especially when you don't have fast travel points. It was just like I'm walking and not seeing a whole lot of anything besides a couple deer and not much going on until you get to. They built that map very bordery, where everything was kind of on the borders except for a couple random things, but it
Hmm.
felt like there's a lot of nothing there. And if they could spruce up the nothing to, I don't know, have more random encounters or random side quests that were had some meaning in there, I think that could be cool. Just to add some life to the world.
Yeah. Yeah, you
But that
had
but Bethesda struggles with that in general, just life in their games. I mean, Starfield was just a dead void. Like everybody's dead in the eyes and everybody just kind of stands there. They need to get more. The biggest thing they need to work on for Elder Scrolls 6 is a living world, and I just don't know if they're capable of that, because I mean that's where CD Projekt Red and these other studios have just surpassed them. It's just immersion. You look at Cyberpunk, it's everybody's just freaking doing a job and like waking up, and you follow them around and they have a whole life cycle. And it's like, how are they doing this? Or Red Dead 2, everybody's building a freaking house as the season goes on. It's like, okay. Bethesda, here's your guy stands behind the counter for 24 hours a day and doesn't blink. And then you talk to him and he's facing the wrong direction. It's like, I don't know. They just need to improve.
That's true. That's true. I
What are we
completely
talking about?
forgot what I was. I completely forgot what I wanted to say. You went on for a minute. It's not. It's
Sorry.
not often you get a Zach rant. No, that's
No.
passion. The passion is there. He's real, people. He has a heart. Uh
I sent him about a map and you laughed.
oh, yeah, that's what it was exactly. So, like I said a little bit ago, I played Skyrim a lot. I beat it several times, all the quest lines, and then I just played it off and on forever, probably since 2009. I don't know, but I did not know for the longest time. I had no idea that fast travel was a thing. I had
What?
no idea. That I did not know. I did not know. Like I
You
said,
were
I had
walking
never played.
everywhere?
I walked the entire map. If you portaled me to Skyrim right now, I have the lay of the land so well mapped out. I could lead you from place to place. I know the map that well because I didn't know that fast travel was a thing. And so
Did you take the card at least?
here's the funny thing. It gets better. It gets better. After I found out fast travel was a thing, like later, I found out that a mechanic of the fast travel was you could utilize the carts to go to places you hadn't been yet. I had
Yeah.
only thought the I thought the carts were only for places that you had been so far. I had no idea
Oh
you could go to an
no.
unknown. I know. For years, I walked the map of Skyrim because I didn't know it had a fast travel system. And then the travel system presented itself to me like, here you go, dummy. I still didn't get it right because I missed half the mechanic.
That's impressive because
I know.
generally you hate traveling on foot, so that's a mark of a good game for you. You're actually wanting
But
to explore around.
that's exactly it, man. Every nook and cranny, I could not get enough of Skyrim. I just loved it. It was my game. Every nook and cranny.
Yeah, I think
So
Knights of
yeah,
the Old
I'll
Republic
probably
for me is that game. That's just I
probably buy it when it releases again.
love it. I hope that remake happens.
I hope so too. There wasn't a lot of chit chat at Celebration about their games, but surrounding Celebration, the cool thing too is though Celebration was so close to Star Wars Day this year because they always release a nugget or two on Star Wars days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hope they'd have like in the future maybe just a Star Wars gameathon, and just
Yeah, it'd be cool.
yeah, Battlefront 3, Shadow Drop.
A lot of people were hoping for that. I was one of them, but
I know.
that was driving the internet crazy for a few days.
Like I said, it must just be a licensing fee. There seems like there's no other logical reason why that would not have been made. It'd be a moneymaker, but unless Disney's just like, you need to give us half. That's the only reason I could see why they would be like, okay, never mind, screw you. We can just make another Battlefield and not give you any money. Because yeah, that has to be the only reason. Because EA would be all over that. The thing is, I think they could do it well. I mean, they could just make DICE or whatever, one of their companies within there, or Microsoft want to give it to Call of Duty people. Somebody could do a great game. I think it just must be Disney. I've heard that before, that Disney's licensing fee is pretty exorbitant. So maybe that is I don't know if it's a flat rate or if it's just like a game to game. Because I mean, there's a lot of games. Obviously, this game still has its licensing fee, so it can't be charged too much.
It's probably a forever rate with incurring interest.
Yeah. All right.
You'll make a Star Wars game, but you'll pay for it until you die.
That's why we keep buying these mounts.
He's 90. You're buying these. Oh, that's a sick lightsaber. I need that.
It happens to me every time. I look at the stupid sales and I'm like, oh, it's half off. I could get it half off.
Get it half off. That's only this many.
I have so much stuff though I bought in this cartel market for half off, or it was like really cheap, and I was like, all right, that's going to be a future character. I can already see it. Like I start visualizing my future characters that I haven't even made. I'm like, I'm going to put this in my strongholds or my legacy storage, and I'm just going to leave it there until I make this character. Because it was half off.
I've bought a few armor sets and 2 lightsaber crystals from the cartel market. And like there's some stuff I want, but a lot of things I'm finding that like especially just piling through these missions, you get so much cash. You can just go to the Galactic Exchange and you can find a lot of like a lot of it's way out of my reach. Like there's some cool amounts that are like millions and millions of credits that I just don't have. But like there's everything in my apartment that we've seen, I've gotten their mission rewards, or I bought them from just a vendor.
Yeah, that is the nice thing about this game. They're a lot more reasonable than ZeniMax is on Elder Scrolls Online, where to get a freaking chair, you need to grind 20 hours to get a wooden chair. It's like,
No,
okay,
yeah.
this is, you're buying it from the store, you're not getting it kind of vibe. This one at least has that in-game shop that is, I guess there are ways, like people like our friend Bane over on Twitch. He he has the billions of credits and he knows how to farm them. So there are ways to credit farm too if you really want to dig into that. But yeah, if you haven't played this game, it's not a, you want to be subbed. That's kind of a given. You can play free, but if you're looking to get into it, a sub isn't going to cost you too much. You can get in there. You'll get at 500 credits a month in Cartel Market, and then you can, if you on sub, you still get all the expansions forever and ever and ever. So yeah, join.
That was kind of
Keep the
weird.
community alive. Sure. But yeah, we'll wrap up there. Thanks everybody for watching. You guys have been
Thank
great.
you.
We had a pretty good turnout on both YouTube and Twitch. Twitch has been growing
Cool.
like mad. I appreciate all of you.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and thanks for keeping this loser company.
Yeah,
over there in his
that.
basement.
I'm gonna be moving up soon.
Moving up in the world.
Upstairs,
brand new space.
Literally upstairs. Yes.
With lightsabers. When do those come in, by the way?
I don't know. They haven't shipped yet. At least I don't think so.
Fine.
Unless they're not going to tell me when they ship and they're just going to show up. Which we're going to do an unboxing video for everybody wondering. So go to the YouTube page, which is linked on Twitch. Or if you're on YouTube, you're already there. And then in the YouTube page is a Discord link. You can join the Discord server. But yeah, I'll do an unboxing about a couple sabers. So we'll see what those look like when they get here. But this video will go up in edited form. Ooh, look at that armor. On Friday. Around 6:30 p.m., something like that. So yeah, if you would like to watch the entirety, cut down a little bit, that's where it'll be. I have other gameplays on there that I do not stream, such as Assassin's Creed, Indiana Jones, and more. Primarily streaming this game every day. And then once in a while, we switch over to something like Oblivion or, yeah. But yeah, we'll see here. So yeah, until next time, I love you all. Bye-bye.